Black Hollow, forgotten by maps, lost to time. Whispers travelled on the wind, tales of a town swallowed by shadows. They spoke of chilling secrets, of souls trapped in twilight. No one dared to enter, not anymore. The stories served as warnings, etched in the minds of those who lived beyond its borders. But legends often attract a curious soul, and for Claire, curiosity was a siren's call. Claire, a young journalist drawn to the unexplainable, had heard the rumours. The stories of Black Hollow called to her, a chilling melody she couldn't ignore. She meticulously studied old maps, faded newspaper clippings, and whispered accounts from those who dared to speak. Armed with her camera and a notebook, she was ready to face the darkness. Fear was a distant echo. The truth, she believed, lay hidden in the shadows, and Claire was determined to drag it into the light. As Claire's car bumped along the old dirt road, the forest seemed to press in, the trees like skeletal fingers reaching towards her. The air grew heavy, thick with an unsettling quiet. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the crunching of gravel under her tires. It was a silence that felt alive, watching, waiting. Finally, through the fog-laden air, she saw it. The welcome sign, twisted and rusted, stood as a grim sentinel at the town's entrance. Black Hollow. The town was eerily still. Buildings stood dilapidated, paint peeling like dead skin. Windows were dark, hollow eyes staring back at her. She stopped in front of what was once a diner, the neon sign flickering faintly. Stepping inside, she was met with a thick layer of dust and the remnants of forgotten lives. A sudden clatter from the back startled her. She spun around, heart pounding, but there was nothing. Just the echoing silence and the growing feeling that she wasn't alone. As the sun began its descent, casting long, eerie shadows across the town, the air grew colder. The silence that had been unsettling before now transformed into a symphony of whispers and rustling leaves. Panic began to gnaw at the edges of Claire's composure. The shadows seemed to lengthen, twisting into grotesque shapes that danced at the edge of her vision. The once quaint, albeit abandoned town was now morphing into something sinister, something out of a nightmare. A thick fog began to roll in, blanketing everything in a cold, damp embrace. Through the swirling mist she saw them. Figures tall and slender emerged from the fog. They moved with an unnatural grace, their bodies shrouded in shadow, their faces obscured by the swirling mist. Claire felt a chill run down her spine. Her breath caught in her throat. This was no ordinary town. These weren't ordinary people. Fear, raw and icy, shot through Claire. She stumbled back, her hand instinctively reaching for the camera dangling from her neck. They moved closer, their forms rippling at the edges as if they were struggling to maintain their shape. One of the figures stretched out a hand, long and bony, towards her. The fog seemed to part slightly, revealing for a fleeting moment a face contorted in a silent scream, eyes burning with an unnatural light. Click! The flash of her camera momentarily illuminated the scene. The figures recoiled from the sudden burst of light. Claire seized the opportunity, her fear momentarily forgotten. She snapped another picture, then another. As quickly as they had appeared, the figures retreated, melting back into the swirling mist. The fog began to dissipate, the shadows retreating with the figures. Claire stood there, heart pounding, camera clutched in her hand. The next morning, bathed in the warm glow of the rising sun, Black Hollow seemed almost peaceful. The events of the previous night felt like a fever dream. But as Claire drove away, the camera on the passenger seat beside her, she couldn't shake the feeling of unease. She couldn't shake the memory of the figures in the mist, their faces forever burned into her memory. And when she developed her pictures, the images only deepened the mystery. challenging everything she had ever believed.